Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Monday, which means only one thing: Return of the Bat. That is correct. Batwoman is back. We had the episode 11 from season 2 last night, Initiate Self-Destruct, featuring the true debut of Wallace Day in the quote-unquote role of Kate Kane. But before we get into all that, before we get too deep down the rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll that Grace Randolph footage, shall we? It's time for the Bat. Monkeys, you know what to do.
Welcome to the place to be reviews.
I was a little frustrated. Batwoman, that's just a car. Somebody's watching this show. That really annoyed me. Batwoman is still doing quite well. It doesn't even look like Batwoman.
Peter, I'm really starting to question why I'm even friends with you in the first place.
We begin this week's pulse-pounding episode at the palatial estate of Roman Sionis, cosmetics magnate, a.k.a. Black Mask, the Snakebite King, who is talking to Enigma, and our new Kate Kane, played by the beautiful Wallace Day. And they're discussing the new mask of Kate, who speaks for the first time. Enigma is going to erase her subconscious and her memory and turn her into Cersei Sionis, except for her voice, because she blames Black Mask's guys for damaging her vocal cords when they extracted her from the airplane during the fight. So she's basically going to make... She's going to make Cersei out of Kate Kane. That's... for those of you keeping score at home and pay attention to the story, which I know a lot of you don't because you just watch my reviews, and I thank you for it. Cersei Sionis was supposedly, quote, killed by Batwoman or died in prison or in jail. I don't know. But he blames Batwoman. Roman blames Batwoman for it. That's his whole issue with her, outside of the fact that she keeps breaking up his snakebite distribution rings. So... that's the opening scene. Let's get into the episode. Just take it away, guys.
Peter, I'm really starting to question why I'm even friends with you in the first place.
Alice and Ocean are in bed together, and she's obviously having those post-coital moments of regret. For what reason, I don't know. Maybe because she's apparently abandoned the ways of the Lesbicano.
Have you ever seen anything like this, Pat?
But she quickly collects her clothing, gets dressed, and tried to leave, but the false-face goons knock her out, and they start beating on Ocean in bed, which, I mean, after a night of knocking one out with a chick that looks like Alice, that's the last thing you want to wake up to, is even more of a beating than you probably took the night before, which, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but...
And now for something completely different.
Sophie is piecing together that Ryan is Batwoman, and in walks Agent Taggart or Tavarov, or it doesn't really matter. He's this Agent Toxic white male. And Sophie asks him, because he's insistent on getting the blood sample from Batwoman from last episode pushed through the lab, identified so they can figure out who Batwoman is and arrest her, because he wants to, further his career at the expense of a vigilante. And Sophie asks him,
how many rape kits have to go to the back of the line so you can make a big splash for your career? Does the commander know that you're squandering resources like this?
Like, they only have one fucking lab technician within the entire Crow organization that could possibly run a blood analysis. And exactly how much rape goes on in Gotham that the Crows are that backlogged in cases that one blood sample will knock down the entire system? Could Sophie be jealous that the cishet toxic Chad white male could break the news before her on who Batwoman is? Or is she just trying to protect her? Well, I mean, we know the answer, but for the sake of the video, I mean. Meanwhile, in his office, Jacob is enjoying a nice, steady afternoon getting high on snakebite when Sophie comes to him and says that instead of trying to figure out who Batwoman is, they should be going after Black Mask in an attempt to deflect away from Ryan. Then he asks if she thinks because she fiddled his daughter's bean and scissored her 5 years ago.
Scissor me timber!
You can tell me how to run my organization? Then he kicks her the fuck out of his office.
You get your bitch ass back in the kitchen and make me some pie.
It's because she's probably harshing his mellow or some shit like that. So, her Lesbicano adventures with Kate haven't helped her thus far in the eyes of our newly stoned commander, who's gonna have some hella bad withdrawals when he's all done with the snake bite, I'll guarantee that.
Fuck that puto!
Meanwhile, back at Wayne Enterprises,
Ryan, Little Fox, and Genius Mary are trying to find Angelique, but Sophie summons Ryan with the bat signal, and they have a quaint rooftop meeting.
The lesbian!
And Sophie tells her the jig is up, and the crows are about to find out who she is, and they're going to run it against the database, her blood sample, and they'll know exactly her identity. She tells Sophie to destroy the sample, and then tries to guilt her into it, and she says that the crows were supposed to protect her, so she leaves and says she's going to find Angelique, because the crows didn't do their job protecting her because, well, let's be honest, they put a couple toxic white males to guard her, and you know that they're just fodder in this show, and they were bound to die, and Angelique was going to get kidnapped, because that's what the plot needed to happen.
I was a little frustrated.
Little Fox and Mary the Genius implore Ryan to come back to the Batcave, and Fox tells her that the Bat legacy isn't worth throwing away over Angelique. And Alice has killed the false-face goons and is melting one of their faces with a torch to try to get information on them and where they are keeping Ocean, kidnapped and away from her because she couldn't get away from him fast enough. But now that somebody took Ocean away, these hot, insane, crazy, sexy psychopath is pissed off. And Batwoman tells Alice that she's looking for Angelique, and then they came to get Ocean to cook the snake bite, which means Angelique and Ocean are in the same place, using the properties of logic and reason, which this show rarely does. So Alice tells Batwoman that she needs her to be her partner so they can...
Yeah, Caesar!
No, so they can both get what they want. And a partnership is formed. Alice swings out the door and says, I've always wanted to ride in the Batmobile.
Oh, goody. I've always wanted to ride in the Batmobile.
Batwoman and Alice are speeding through Gotham in the Batmobile.
That's just a car.
And Alice is fiddling with stuff and almost initiates the self-destruct mechanism, and Ryan is salty because Alice killed her mom and Requiem and Terrapax and so on and so forth.
I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're one on the phone.
Sophie shows up at the lab, and the attendant is obviously bothered because Tavaroff was just there asking about the sample of blood. Now Sophie shows up and says she's there on behalf of Commander Snakebite, Stoner, Cheech and Commander Kane, Dougray Scott, who hates his life, hates himself because he's on Batwoman. And the lab tech says, don't worry, I'm going to babysit this sample until the end, much to the obvious chagrin of Sophie and the necessity of the plot of the show, which is poorly written as always. Back at the Batcave, Mary and Little Fox are grossed out equally because they said Alice is in the Batmobile.
That's just a car.
Mary says, you're going to have to deep clean that to Little Fox, and he says he's well aware. Why don't these two just fuck already? I don't understand.
You serious?
Sophie calls Little Fox and tells him she can't destroy the sample because it's under such close watch, and basically Luke needs to hack the National Criminal Database, erase Ryan's records. That's the only way they're going to do it. So that's on him now. Little Fox, who's had one alpha moment in almost, 2 full seasons? Ryan and Alice show up at the False Face Society clubhouse to do some surveillance before they go in and just beat the shit out of every guy inside. And Ocean and Angelique are being recorded making snakebite at gunpoint. Ryan and Alice are kind of looking on from the car, and Alice just honks the horn when Ryan says we got to get their attention somehow. And then they easily subdue the goon until a bunch more come running at them. So what do you think? A bunch of 245-pound muscular goons versus 2 females who combined may weigh a total 200 pounds? These guys have no chance, do they?
Want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts!
Mary goes to Crow headquarters to pay a social call and visit Sophie and brings her a gift called the Kill Drive, which is basically a MacGuffin. This will, according to Mary, rearrange the 1s and 0s, which comprise Ryan's DNA code, and render them unreadable. But the caveat is, Sophie needs to use this from a computer with Tier 1 access. Sophie then tells Mary the only terminal with such access is located in your dad's office. And Mary says,
That's why I'm here, Dave!
The end is nigh! The end is nigh! F***ing run away! The end is nigh!
Back to the pummeling of a dozen overly accommodating stuntmen. Cue the music.
I've been looking forward to this.
Everybody was kung fu fighting!
Alice kills a goon by crushing his head in the door of a car. And then Ryan tells Alice that she loves Ocean and she knows she does. And they argue over the fact that Alice is a hot psychopath and admits that she had a non-lesbian sex affair with Ocean and I don't know, whatever else Caroline Dries can throw in this garbage tier fucking writing in this scene that just went on way too long and really got nowhere at all. Mary gets Jacob out of his office for a while as he's all baked out of his mind on snakebite, and she says, we're going to go to my clinic. And Sophie goes in to install the kill drive or kill bug or whatever the hell that thing is. What? Batwoman and Alice are waiting for the goons, and Alice asks if Angelique Sees is good enough for Batwoman. And then they talk about feelings, and Ryan brings up the fact that Alice killed her mom, which we've already established, and we don't really care. Alice starts to play head games with Ryan regarding Angelique, and she reminisces about Kate, and Alice tells Ryan she can't save everyone without losing who you are, and the goons run out to check the perimeter, and this leaves Alice handcuffed because Ryan's like, I don't trust you, bitch, you're crazy, and tells her Ocean will be saved, and he'll know exactly who Alice is. And then Ryan heads off towards the building, and Alice just sits there looking insanely sexy. I can't take it.
I was a little frustrated.
So Batwoman has infiltrated the lab while they are making the snake bite. She gets lost. Little Fox is navigating her around, but Little Fox's tech support line goes off, and it's Sophie who calls him for assistance with the kill drive. He instructs her how to wipe all the files out. Tavarov is in the lab, and he's waiting for the results anxiously, and Sophie is confused because it's a moral dilemma. She's going to have to erase not only Ryan's file, but it will wipe out all the evidence against murderers and rapists and all these hardened criminals. So her conscience won't let her do that. So she says, we're going to have to do something else. And much to the dismay of Little Fox, but you got to know that Sophie's a woman. And in this show, there's nobody smarter than a woman, especially a lesbian woman.
Somebody's watching this show.
Mary takes Jacob back to her super secret underground clinic that nobody knows about, but everybody knows about, that's now legitimate, and he starts to have a sweat attack, and he starts to question whether she will legitimately act in accordance to the law. She's doing everything she can to stall him from going back to his office to get stoned again, but he starts to get the monkeys on his back, and he has to get back to the office, so he gives her grief about, I don't know, like a telephone line being unplugged for the Ethernet, for her fax machine, which she makes fun of and calls ancient. I'm surprised there wasn't a boomer joke in there somewhere. But yeah, this scene was just kind of, stall tactics, and it went on, like I said, it just went on and Jacob's pissed because he wants to get high again. So he's like, bitch, are you done? I got to get out of here. Meanwhile, back at Bad Guy Central, Wallace Day makes her debut as Kate Kane while, in a manner of speaking anyway, but also she is Circe Sionis now. Remember, Enigma wiped her memory out, so she is of the mindset that she's Circe Sionis, the departed daughter of Roman Sionis, and she puts a knife to Alice's throat, and she tells her where to find Batwoman, but says, I'll be back for you, and we hope that she'll be back for her, because even though they're sisters, I mean, there's always that outside chance that the scene will be directed by Axel Braun and it'll turn into
The Lesbian!
So back at the offices of the most worthless private security team in the history of private security contractors, the Crows, Tavarov says,
Jibs on arresting Batwoman when the name is revealed.
Because that's what heroes do.
And Sophie enters and makes a joke at his expense, and he leaves rejected because Sophie tells Little Fox she needs to cover her digital tracks because her mission to remove Ryan's information from the database was successful, of course, because Sophie is just absolutely the best ever at everything, and Tavarov is simply an ineffectual white male crow who is, I'm surprised he's survived 2 episodes, which for a character with his melanin count is a shocker.
Man.
Masked Goon False Face Society fodder shoots Ocean, and Batwoman enters as Angelique Sees is trying to help him. So the two of them leave and enters Kate Kane as Circe, Wallace Day, and the two of them have a well choreographed lesbian brawl, and Ryan gets her ass beat by Batwoman 2.0, which I'll I'll call her Batwoman 2.0 because I don't know. I have no idea where I'm even going with this. But Alice kind of clocks her from behind, and she gets back up and just KOs Ryan, takes Alice down with no trouble. Ryan leaves Alice fighting with Kate, and Alice finally comes clean about remembering Batwoman's mom, but Ryan basically proves that she's no hero and says, I can't save everybody, right? And just fucking walks out on her and leaves her there because she's like, fuck you, you crazy bitch. I'm going to leave you with this other crazy bitch.
Like you said, can't save everyone.
Sophie's back at Crow headquarters, and she's in Kane's office wiping his computer of all the evidence that she was there, using it to delete Ryan's criminal history so Tavarov wouldn't find out who Batwoman was. But she makes another discovery when she's putting things back in the safe. She finds his snakebite box. Yes, because designer drugs come in boxes with, they're the initial of the drug on the box. That's just it's so chic in Gotham. That's how they do it. She finds his snakebite stash, as I said, when she's going through his safe, finds out he's been using. She goes to visit Mary at the clinic, the super secret underground clinic that nobody knows about, but everybody knows about, but that's now legit. And she has to break the bad news that Daddy is a junkie. Sophie comes clean and tells Mary she found the empty snakebite syringes in the office, and Mary doesn't want to believe that he's using. And Sophie says, well, why don't you just ask him? And, I'm sure Sophie's 100% certain that Kane will just come clean because Dougray Scott's true personality come through and be like, yeah, I've been doing heroin this whole fucking show. It's been painful being a part of this shit show. And what the hell else do you expect me to do?
I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Back at Ryan's Casa de Lesbicano. Casa de Lesbicano. Yeah. Angelique sees enters, and it's almost time for
The lesbian!
As we talk about feelings some more, we get some more
Scissor me timber.
And Angelique says, ask Ryan to spy. You just enter witness protection with me. And Ryan isn't going to go. She's not. She's Batwoman. And of course she tries to talk Angelique says into staying. Like, just stays here. We've got the lesbian bar. And they part ways because the plot needs Angelique sees to leave. So she's out. And Ryan is left all alone to, I don't know. I get batteries? I have no idea. And after that less than tearful goodbye between Angelique Faze and Ryan, we're left with one scene, one piece of business. Alice is tied up, and as delicious as that thought sounds, she's in the Sionis house, and Black Mask enters with Kate, or Circe, which we'll talk about that at the end of the video. They discuss what to do with her. And Circe goes to shoot her, but, Daddy tells her to throw her in the cellar and he'll deal with her tomorrow. So Kate smacks her in the head with her pistol, and that's where we end this week. Just take it away.
Peter, I'm really starting to question why I'm even friends with you in the first place.
Holy hell, this episode was not good. Initiate, Self-Destruct was another bad episode. The only bright spot in this entire thing was having Wallace Day and his Kate Kane. Much more physically imposing of a figure than Ruby Rose in the role. Ruby Rose is like, I think 5'6", but she weighs about 110 pounds. Wallace Day is like 5'9", still relatively thin, but very athletic, as I showed in a few pictures earlier. So does this make the show better? No, it's still written by Caroline Dries and the Batwoman Writers Room, which actually blocked me on Twitter, which is hilarious that I was blocked by them. So that's going on now. And no, this show is still bad. Alice is being held captive by Sionis. So now, Ryan shows that she's not a hero. She just straight walks out and leaves Alice, to Circe, which is funny because we're talking, is Caroline Dries really referencing Game of Thrones and Batwoman? Is that what she's doing? She's that unoriginal. It is. It's just, the show's terrible. Dougray Scott is a junkie because he hates his role so much. They have no idea what to do with Sophie still. It's like, they just took away Angelique from Ryan. So are they going to just be like, well, Ryan's a lesbian and Sophie's a lesbian. Boom, here we go. Because, they're not going to. Well, I think, what's her name? Kate or Circe, Wallace Day's character has like a code word, kind of like the Winter Soldier. So if somebody says the right word, she'll snap back into being Kate Kane and out of that. So that's going to happen. But man, this is just it's bad. It's just real bad. Let's check the ratings from last night though, shall we? So remember, the last episode aired on April 18th, the day before my birthday, right? And it went up 70% to 561,000 viewers. Well, we suffered a drop of 41%, 381,000 viewers, down 32% from the previous episode. That is a new series low in a season that continues to defy logic and probability. In the numbers, the bottom keeps falling. If you look, before that, the previous low was 435,000. Now we're down to 381. This could very well reach sub 300,000 viewers an episode, and still they keep airing this show, which is amazing. I can't get enough. I cannot wait for season 3. I just said that. I did. This is bad. Like, it is horrible. 381,000. That's a 0.10, which is basically where they live in the 18 to 49 demo. This show is wow. I thought the ratings would have went up a little bit with the emergence of Kate Kane, played by Wallace Day. But there's no help in this. And yeah, that's it. This is bad, guys. I will see you guys tonight for episode 150 of the podcast. The Place to Be reviews Monday night going in Raw. Join myself, Tony Tone Deaf Red Gaze, and making his return, Nerdy Blurb TV. I'm E Temple Queen of the Place to Be reviews. I've been here with all of yous, and remember, if I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow, and I'll catch you on the next one.
That's just a car.